Okay, so let's look at the anatomy of the GI tube. All right, so the tube looks kind of like that. Here's the tube, that's the lumen. All right, so we're going to look at a piece of it, that little area of the wall of it, okay? So if I draw my little picture, okay. All right, so if that starts my little picture, all right, so the top layer, or the layer that faces the lumen, so the lumen is out here, okay, is going to be some kind of epithelial tissue. Okay, so and it's kind of going to depend on where you are. So if you're in the throat, if you're in the esophagus, if you're in the rectum, you're going to see stratified squamous epithelia. If you're in the stomach, you're in the small intestine, the colon, you're going to see simple columnar epithelia. This epithelial tissue is a mucous membrane. Remember, the digestive tract, the GI tube, is open to the world. Okay, it opens to the world from your mouth. It opens to the world, really from your nasal cavity. It opens to the world from your behind. Okay, so it's going to be lined with a mucous membrane, lots of goblet cells, mucousy thing to help protect us from things coming in from the outside. So under that is going to be a layer of smooth connective tissue, loose connective tissue, which is the lamina propria. And we all know, or should know, that that's areolar connective tissue. All right. Deep to that, and remember, lamina propria is specific to mucous membranes. All right, so deep to that is a thin layer of smooth muscle. And that little layer of smooth muscle is called the Muscularis Mucosae. So the Muscularis Mucosae. Again, that smooth muscle. Okay, so that layer is called the mucosa. Okay, the next layer is a layer basically of connective tissue, and this is dense, irregular connective tissue. And there can be other things in here. There can be like some glands and whatever in there, but they're all bound up with this dense, irregular connective tissue. And this dense connective tissue layer is called the submucosa. All right. Under that is more smooth muscle. And there's 2 layers of smooth muscle here. And each layer has the fibers going in opposite directions. So we've got that one going that way, and then this one going this way. All right, so you get my drift there. So this is the circular layer of smooth muscle. This is the longitudinal layer. So smooth muscle here. So that layer is called the Muscularis externa. All right, right under that, purple here. So right under that is a layer, a protective layer, and depending on where it is, it will either be the serosa or the adventitia. Okay, if it is in the peritoneum, it is serosa. If it is outside of the peritoneum, it is adventitia. So your esophagus, the entire tube from mouth to anus basically has these layers, okay? And in the esophagus, for example, it is outside of the peritoneum. So the outside of that has adventitia. The stomach is in the peritoneum, so it has serosa. The duodenum, which is part of the small intestine, it is not in the peritoneum. It is retroperitoneal. It will have adventitia. But the rest of it, the jejunum and the ileum, which are in the peritoneum, has serosa, because the peritoneum is what contains those serous membranes. All right, so this is just an overview, but by and large, the entire GI tube has these layers to it in some form or fashion. Again, the epithelial tissue could be differing, could be stratified squamous, could be simple columnar, okay? But there's still going to be an epithelial tissue here, and both of them are going to be part of the mucous membranes. They're going to be supported with lamina propria, which is areolar connective tissue. Got lots of goblet cells, lots of mucus in there. Then the submucosa is that supportive layer there. Can have other things in it, can have glands and things in it, but has dense irregular connective tissue. And then most of the tube has 2 layers of smooth muscle, the longitudinal and the circular layer. We'll see in the stomach there is an extra layer of muscle with that. But again, generally this is how it looks. And then you either have the serosa surrounding it or the adventitia. So let's move on to the structures.